Children of the Corn: The Gathering is the fourth movie based off of a 46-page Stephen King short story. Fourth movie, and it's still going. And that's kind of unfair. Like, I wrote a 4,000-page story about a monkey that becomes the Pope, and I shopped that to every studio in town, and the nicest feedback I got was, "How is every single word misspelled? You are something special." So since the world will never get to see Andy Serkis's brilliant motion capture of Chuck the monkey as he addresses the people at the Vatican, I guess we're just stuck watching another freaking Children of the Corn movie. The movie begins with a boy knocking on the door of June Rhodes, who is not played by Ellen Burstyn. I checked like 4 times. They aren't even related.
Help.
I got bit by a vampire.
My God, you're hot.
Ew. What? He's just a boy. Oh, like temperature hot.
Now go ahead and lie back. Let me put this in your mouth.
Seriously, June? If anyone was eavesdropping from outside, the rest of this movie would be you trying to prove that you're not a pedophile. Just choose your words more carefully. The boy then collapses on the floor and turns into a demon. Oh my god. Okay. So that was a dream? Opening your movie with a dream sequence. Alright. Not the decision I would have gone with, because dream sequences are the laziest thing a filmmaker could ever do, but I'm sure this 80-minute movie only has the one. The next day, Grace Rhodes arrives in Grand Island, Nebraska, and Grace is played by Oscar nominee Naomi Watts. Poor Naomi. She's the star of this movie, so she can't really hide from it. Like, at least Charlize Theron didn't have any lines in Children of the Corn 3, so she never had to suffer the fate of having her face on the re-release DVDs. She's listening to a news report about the decline of rural towns.
The report cites the sale of small farms, deterioration of family life, and the allure of the urban economy as the primary causes.
Yeah, sales of small farms, mass murders of anyone over the age of 18, a weird smell in the air, probably due to the mass murders of anyone over the age of 18. And Grace arrives at the home of her mother, June, who is also there with Dr. Larson, played by Beau Bridges in old man makeup? I don't know. Also at the house is Grace's sister, Margaret, played by the little girl from Dante's Peak, and her brother, James, played by... oh, dear God. We don't need to know who plays every character. We then meet Private James Francis Ryan, who is now a drunk after decades of guilt from knowing that he was indirectly responsible for the death of several of his fellow soldiers during World War II, and he's walking through a cornfield, which I think is a terrible idea, even in a non-Children of the Corn movie, and he finds an old barn where he can drown out the horror and misery that he wrought on so many people, especially this dude.
Stop! No. Das ist einfach für dich.
Like, he wasn't there to witness this, but Upham told him about it later, and it broke Ryan's brain. And he drinks from an old well which has a dead body in it. Oh, I'm sorry. He drinks from an old well which has a zombie in it. He drinks from an old well that has the ghost of a zombie in it. I don't know. And then he gets murdered by the child, who says that he's come for the children. And that night, June tells Grace that she has the dream about the boy every night.
Mom, we're not Catholic.
We're Scientologists. We don't believe in all that hokey mumbo-jumbo. Now go check your thetan levels before bed. We don't want Xenu to inhabit your soul and walk your body toward the land of eternal shadows, now do we? The next day, all the children in town begin to develop mild fevers, including Marcus Atkins, who is there with his dad, Donald Atkins, played by Brent Jennings, who you may know played Hoppin' Bob in the ridiculously entertaining movie Life. Seriously, if you haven't seen Life, you should see Life. It is so good. Oh, and just in case you like little bits of random trivia, the actress playing Margaret was in Dante's Peak with Linda Hamilton, who starred in the original Children of the Corn movie, and Brent Jennings was in the TV show Glee along with... let me check my notes. With no one else. Yep, Brent Jennings was the only one in Glee. My mistake. And that night, Grace goes back home to check on Margaret and notices a boy standing over her bed. What the hell is going on? You got me. You got me. Children of the Corn dream sequence. And across town, Marcus sees the same boy on the TV, and the children appear and murder Marcus's mother while he watches. The police show up and suspect Donald of the murders, and the sheriff chases after Marcus as he wanders into the cornfield. And the boy shows up and murders the sheriff, and Donald finds the body first and takes off, and he's now the prime suspect in 2 murders and his son's disappearance. He's looking at the possibility of life in prison.
We ain't got no fences here, Camp 8. We don't need no fences. We got us the gun line.
Tell him about the gun line, boss.
This is the gun line.
Seriously, go watch Life. And that night, Margaret wakes up with sores all over her face. And I don't know what this is all about. Come on. Dream sequences should not be a substitute for exposition. What the hell is going on? What the is anything real? The next day, a woman brings her twin boys to see Dr. Larson because they're acting weird, and they keep insisting that their names are Zeke and Caleb instead of Charlie and Scott. I mean, I don't know, do you really take your kids to the doctor for something like that? Like, I once tried to go by Stryker for an entire summer. It's just what kids do. Kids are weird, especially kids who are identical twins. Ugh. Twins, man. Creepiest mother alive. Why the hell are there two of you? And Dr. Larson just thinks the boys are being little shits, but he tells their mom that he'll keep them there in the clinic overnight. Is he a doctor/babysitter? And he tells them about a set of twins that he grew up with named Ezekiel and Caleb Cuff, who were murdered by their father, and then they cut him in half with a patient bed. It's dumb. This movie's dumb. And then a little girl shows up at June's house with a cut on her arm.
My God, you're hot.
June, we have been over this. Don't call children hot. And when she comes back from getting a Band-Aid, the boy's in her house and she takes off in her car. And she sees her son James go into a barn and she follows him in, and then she gets murdered. It was not a dream sequence. This time it was real, I guess. So all the parents show up at the clinic because the fevers have returned. And Donald holds Grace up at gunpoint and forces her to go look for Marcus. And they stop at the home of Jane and Rosa Knock, and they tell him all about the amazing boy preacher named Josiah, who lived 60 years earlier.
That boy, born of sin to a young girl, she up and left him. And those traveling preachers took him in.
So the boy took to preaching.
Like it was in his blood. He had the gift, he did.
I don't know, it doesn't seem that difficult to be a preacher. Like, just tell people they're going to go to hell if they sin. I tell people to go to hell on a daily basis. And I do it for free. And they tell them that Josiah came to town every summer, but he never seemed to age. And the townspeople eventually realized that Josiah was evil, and they tried to poison him with mercury, and then they burned him alive in the cornfield. Like, do you want to summon a corn revenge demon? Because that's how you summon a corn revenge demon. They gathered up Josiah's bones and threw them down a well, but they say that he wants to transfer his power to a child that is like him. No idea how these two shut-ins know all of this.
He's found a child, one like himself. And when that like child takes his place, Josiah will take them all.
Margaret is the like child. I abandoned her and I lied to her.
Your sister.
She's my daughter.
Oh, man. Spilled the Crystal Pepsi I bought off eBay. But shit, I did not expect there to be a twist like that in Children of the Corn 4.
Rosa, it's time. Your boys come home.
All right, I guess they liked that twist so much. Okay, well, this lady that we just met was Josiah's mother. I mean, I guess that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. So all the children gather in the barn to perform a ritual to transfer Josiah's soul into Margaret, and Donald and Grace prepare for the final showdown.
These two red ones, they're filled with mercury. We're going to use these on the back here, okay? The black ones, they're regular 12 gauge, all right?
What do we use those for?
I hope not to shoot children.
You know, I love when the hero has a cool one-liner and then racks a shotgun, but I hope to not shoot children, while admirable, is not really considered a cool one-liner. Like, what he should have said was,
What do we use those for?
I hope not to shoot children.
Of the corn, but unfortunately, it's time for the harvest. And they also fill a water tank with mercury because they are just all in on the mercury theory at this point. And Josiah appears, and he attacks Grace, and she activates the sprinkler system, and the mercury idea worked. Yeah. Because we, the audience, have been invested in this idea for about 10 minutes. And so the day is saved, and they bury June and prepare to start their new lives together. What is
Ready,
going
James?
on? Oh my God.
James?
Please don't tell me that we're in a... Damn it! So that was Children of the Corn, The Gathering. And it's, you know... whatever. And now if you're watching this video and the comments are disabled, it's because YouTube will throttle almost all of my videos that feature children, because YouTube is f***ing stupid. They did it to Home Alone 2, E.T., Labyrinth, and Willow got the comments disabled because the algorithm thought that Warwick Davis was a toddler. I can see throttling those weird family vlogs where the kids clearly have no say and their parents are forcing them into it, but to disable comments on a 30-year-old movie that features children who haven't been children in decades is, again, incredibly f***ing stupid. But sometimes movies featuring children make it through without comments being disabled, in which case, if this video gets throttled, it's probably because I keep mentioning how much YouTube sucks. Speaking of things that suck, this movie and all of its dream sequences. I don't know. I hate dream sequences in movies. I just think they're lazy and I hate them. Like, I hated all the dream sequences in The Sopranos. Hell, an entire episode was one long dream sequence. So which dream sequence in a movie or TV show did you think was the biggest stupid cop-out you've ever seen in your life? Let me know in the comments down below.